In this lesson, we're going to look at multiplying improper fractions and mixed numbers. Very similar to multiplying just improper fractions, but we'll see what the difference is when we deal with mixed numbers here. So recall, we don't need to change any denominators. We don't need common denominators at all when multiplying fractions. To multiply improper fractions, no need to change anything, right? So for example, 11 over 3 times 5 over 2, we just multiply the numerators together to get 55, and the denominators together to get 6. So we end up getting 55 over 6. Then we would change this to a mixed number. We would see how many times 6 goes into 55. You could use a calculator if you wanted to. 55 divided by 6 is, of course, 9. So I get 9. And 9 times 6 is 54, and I get 1 left over out of 6. So that would be my final answer written in mixed number form. To multiply fractions involving mixed numbers, first we want to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. So just like I showed above, we had improper fraction, which is kind of easy to multiply by any type of fraction. So first of all, the 2 and the 1/3, for example, I'm going to change that to 7/3. Of course, I multiply the 2 in front by 3, add 1, and then I'm multiplying by 5/2. Already an improper fraction, I don't need to change anything. And then I multiply the numerators together, so 7 times 5 is 35, over 3 times 2, which is 6. And then typically I would then convert that back into a mixed number. So 6 goes into 35 5 times, because 5 times 6 is 30. So I get 5 and 5 out of 6 remaining. So 5 times 6 is 30. I'm left with 5. So 5 and 5 over 6. Let's look at another example here. Here I have 2 mixed numbers. So I'm going to convert both of them into improper fractions. So I have 1 and 2 over 5. So again, 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. So I get 7 over 5 for the first fraction. And 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So I get 5 over 2 for the second fraction. Multiply numerators together. So 7 times 5 is 35. And 5 times 2 is 10. Change that into a mixed number again. 10 goes into 35 3 times, and I'm left with 5 over 10. So we can see right away that, we can also reduce this as well. So I end up getting 3 and 1/2, because 5 over 10 reduces to 5 over, or 1/2. So just keep in mind how to do that, how to change to a improper fraction, and then multiply. Let's do some more. So the more examples you do, typically the more concrete the concept becomes. So 2 and 3/5, 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13 over 5 times 1 times 7, 7 plus 2 is 9 over 7. If you get big numbers, don't be afraid to use a calculator. It's totally fine. So 13 times 9 is 117 over 5 times 7 is 35. And again, just to check to see how many times the bottom goes in, which is 35. So divide that by 35 to see. I end up getting 3. So 35 times 3 is 105. Whoops, 3. So I get 3, and then that was 105. And of course, 117 minus 105 is 12. So I'm left with 12 over 35. Now I have a whole number, which is 5, no fraction. But remember, we can always put that whole number over 1. So I get 5 over 1 times 4 over 3. So 5 times 4 is 20. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 goes into 26 times, which is 18. 6 times 3 is 18. And I'm left with 2 out of 3. Next one, 8 times 11 is 88. 3 times 2 is 6. I can reduce that, of course, or change it back to an improper, or to a mixed number, I mean. So 88 divided by 6. This is going to tell me how many full times 6 goes in. 14 and then a little bit. So if I take the 14, we can figure out how much is left by taking 14, multiplying it by my 6 on the bottom, 84. And then from 84 to 88 is 4. So I have 4 left over, 4 out of 6. And I can again reduce that. 4 to 6 divides both by 2. So I get 2 over 3. Okay, so basic examples of multiplying mixed numbers by improper fractions by improper fractions, and so on. Even a whole number example thrown in there. Okay, let's look at a word problem here. So Evan skydives 3.5 hours a month. How many hours does he skydive each year? So in this question, we're told how many hours a month Evan skydives. A month. We're asked how many hours a year. So I have the number of hours per month, which is 3.5. I need to multiply that by what? How many months are in a year? Well, you should know that there's 12. And because it's a whole number, of course, we're going to have to put that over 1. We're also going to have to convert the 3.5 into an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, over 2, times 12 over 1. Sorry, 12. So 7 times 12 is, of course, 84. So I get 84 over 2. This reduces down quite easily because 84 can actually be divided by 2, which is just 42. So he spends 42 hours a year skydiving, which is quite a long time. I've never had done skydiving. Next question. The last question. So Keenan, there's 3 people. Keenan, Lucas, and Cody. So Keenan has $20. If Lucas has 1 3/4 times as much as Keenan, and Cody has 2.5 times as much as Lucas, so I have to figure out how much Lucas has first, and then I can find how much Cody has. Then the final question, how much they have all together. I'm going to add all these together. So it's a big word problem involving quite a few operations. So first for Lucas. Okay, so I have Lucas down here. I need to multiply the amount by $20 by 1 3/4. Sorry, 1 3/4. So I'm going to have to take 1 3/4 and, of course, change that to an improper fraction. So I get 20 times 4 plus 3 is 7. 7/4. 20 is like 20 over 1. 20 times 7 is just like 2 times 7, which is 14, but you add a 0. So it's 140. All over 1 times 4, which is 4. And that, let's see if that goes in evenly. 140 divided by 4, 35. So Lucas has $35. Okay, that's just for Lucas. Now Cody has 2.5 times as much as Lucas. So I have to take what Lucas has, which was 35, and multiply it by 2.5. So again, it's like 35 over 1. I'm multiplying this by 2 times 2 is 4. Plus, so I can reduce, or I change that into an improper fraction, which is 5 over 2. And I multiply the tops. So 35 times 5 is 175 over 2. This isn't going to go in evenly, but you know what? We can change this to a decimal because I'm dealing with just money. So 175 divided by 2 is 87.5. Or $87.50, right? Because whenever you're dealing with money, it's a good idea to round to 2 decimal places. How much do they have all together is just a matter of adding all these numbers together. So it's 20 plus 35 plus $87.50. So $87.50 plus 35 plus 20 is $142.50. So because I'm dealing with money too, it's a good idea to, even though the calculator doesn't show me 2 decimal places, put 2 decimal places because in terms of the answer, it makes sense to include them because it's money. So that is how to multiply improper fractions by whole numbers, mixed numbers, all those types of examples. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions.